Pay attention because this matters. You've scraped together $10,000. That's an achievement. Most people never get there. But here's the truth. What happens next will decide if that money becomes the foundation of genuine wealth or just another account balance that shrinks into nothing. I watch this tragedy unfold constantly. People who've worked hard for a small fortune make panicked, emotion-driven choices that sabotage their financial future before it has a chance to begin. You're standing at a pivotal moment. In the coming minutes, I'm going to reveal the devastating errors that will cripple your financial growth. Then I'm going to provide you with the precise, disciplined approach I would implement to invest that $10,000 in 2026. This isn't abstract theory. This is my actual methodology. Listen carefully or fall behind. I've launched businesses. I've backed hundreds more through Shark Tank, and I've steered my own investment portfolio through every conceivable market condition. The gap between novices and experts isn't merely intelligence, it's methodology. It's the calculated, emotionless rigor of treating each dollar like a trained operative in your financial force. $10,000 represents a battalion. You wouldn't deploy your battalion into combat without tactics, without engagement protocols, and without crystal clear goals. Most information you encounter is worthless noise, schemes promising instant riches. Breathless hype about tomorrow's sensation, emotional manipulation. I reject that entirely. My approach is straightforward. Protect capital, create cash flow, and expand systematically. Money never rests, and it shouldn't involve gambling. Right now, I'm going to guide you through the 5 devastating errors you must dodge with that $10,000, followed by the 5 foundations of the precise strategy I would implement. This is your roadmap. Execute it, and you shift the probability of building genuine, enduring wealth firmly in your direction. Disregard it, and you'll question where your money disappeared within 3 years. Let's start. Let me state this unambiguously. The absolute fastest method to convert $10,000 into $5,000 is wagering everything on one solitary concept. One equity, one cryptocurrency, one associate's guaranteed success venture. I witness this madness daily. Somebody acquires a lump sum and believes this represents my opportunity. I'll identify the next Amazon and stake everything. That isn't investing. That's pure gambling. And in my universe, gambling belongs in casinos, not investment accounts. You aren't clairvoyant. You cannot predict which solitary enterprise will exceed all expectations. I've participated in Shark Tank for more than 10 years, backing exceptional enterprises with talented entrepreneurs, and even I would never allocate my complete $10,000 into merely one of them. The mathematics is ruthlessly straightforward. If you're incorrect, you're eliminated. Finished. Your wealth creation journey terminates before it launches. Here's my viewpoint, developed across decades. The cornerstone principle of wealth protection is spreading risk. It isn't glamorous. The commentators on television won't celebrate it, but it's the foundation. I regard every dollar as a unit of a diversified force. Some units are positioned offensively for expansion. Some are positioned defensively, safeguarding my capital. Some are in support roles producing steady cash flow. If one fails, the force continues advancing. When you stake everything, you possess one unit. That isn't a force. That's a casualty waiting to happen. I need you to grasp the mentality here. The stake everything approach is fueled by greed and impatience. You desire the grand slam. I understand it, but wealth isn't constructed by grand slams. It's constructed by reliable base hits year after year after year. It's constructed by preventing catastrophic defeats. Examine my own primary holdings. Do I maintain substantial positions? Certainly, but they're never my complete capital. They're a measured component of a broader engineered framework. So the directive is absolute. Your initial command to yourself is I will not concentrate this capital. The $10,000 must be divided across multiple assets, multiple industries, multiple approaches from the beginning. This is the rigor that distinguishes the novice from the expert. Now, if you prevent the disaster of the stake everything wager, you'll probably succumb to the subsequent more enticing pitfall. You want to understand what infuriates me completely? Observing investors channel money into an asset category after it's already experienced a tremendous surge. It's like witnessing a spacecraft that's already landed on the moon and concluding now is the moment to purchase a boarding pass. This is a catastrophic wealth-obliterating impulse in 2026. This will involve examining the enormous winners of 2024 and 2025, Perhaps it's a particular technology stock, an industry ETF, or even a certain commodity, and concluding that's the momentum. I must participate. That my colleagues is how you purchase the peak. That's how you become the escape route for the intelligent money that's already collecting gains. My approach is reversed. I'm not a momentum pursuer. I'm a value-focused, cash flow-seeking investor. I'm searching for the machinery of the worldwide economy, not the fireworks spectacle. When everybody is rushing into the attractive object that's already multiplied, I'm posing one question. Where is the sustainable return? Let me provide you a principle from Shark Tank. The most profitable businesses we back are seldom the trends. They're the mundane, essential cash-producing machines that address a genuine problem. The identical concept applies to the public markets. The excitement cycle is a deceptive song that produces destruction. Here's a difficult reality from my own portfolio oversight. By the moment a trend is apparent enough for the mainstream financial press to broadcast about it constantly, the simplest money has already been captured. The risk-reward balance is now totally distorted. You are accepting massive risk for what remains, the remnants of potential gain. I've constructed my wealth by purchasing assets that are fundamentally solid but temporarily dismissed, or preferably, that are consistently mundane and disregarded, but distribute dependable expanding dividends year after year. Your $10,000 is too valuable to be deployed as a delayed entry wager on a saturated transaction. The directive here is essential. Execute a excitement examination. If you encounter an investment universally, from the broadcast to social platforms to your hairdresser, that is not an indication to purchase. That is a warning signal. Your responsibility is to look away from the attention and locate the stable foundation in the darkness. Now, preventing the excitement is vital, but it directs us immediately to the third and potentially most hazardous psychological error. Let me be direct. There is a destructive concept proliferating through investing currently that speculation equals investing. It does not. They are separate categories. Investing is when you examine cash flows, financial statements, competitive advantages, and leadership teams to purchase an asset that will compensate you across time. Speculation is when you purchase something merely because you anticipate someone else will compensate more for it subsequently. It's a game of musical chairs. And with $10,000, you are grasping a very modest, very fragile chair. I observe people taking their hard-earned savings and launching it at trending stocks, extremely volatile cryptocurrencies with no fundamental cash flow, or derivative strategies they don't comprehend. This isn't constructing wealth. This is purchasing raffle tickets and labeling it a financial strategy. My viewpoint is anchored in one fundamental principle. I invest in assets that can compensate me while I rest. That indicates dividends, interest, royalties, money laboring for me. Speculative assets, they only function if you're perpetually vigilant, monitoring the display, anxious about the subsequent announcement from some personality. That's not liberty. That's a secondary occupation, and a horrible one. On Shark Tank, I don't back an entrepreneur with merely a polished presentation and an aspiration. I back a business with momentum, revenue, and a trajectory to profitability. I apply the identical scrutiny to my public market investments. If an asset doesn't possess a system to return capital to me independently of its stock price, it is by definition speculative. And with $10,000, you cannot manage to be speculative with your primary capital. I need you to comprehend the missed opportunity. Every dollar you assign to a speculative wager is a dollar not positioned in a wealth compounding mechanism. That $10,000 invested in a diversified collection of dividend distributing companies or ETFs could be producing $300, $400, even $500 annually in cash returns that you can reinvest. That's the accumulation starting to accelerate. Position it in a speculative asset and you might receive zero cash flow while you hope for a price increase. The directive is absolute. Define your serious capital and your experimental capital. If you must speculate, and I don't advise it, assign a minuscule fixed percentage you are 100% prepared to forfeit for a $10,000 portfolio. I'm discussing $500 or $1,000 maximum. The remainder, the $9,000, is serious capital. It enters into the organized, disciplined framework I'm about to provide you. You must construct this barrier in your consciousness, or speculation will overflow and contaminate your complete strategy. Now, if you can oppose the deceptive song of speculation, you must then address the most prevalent operational error of all. This is where I distinguish the visitors from the permanent inhabitants in the universe of wealth construction. Most people with $10,000 contemplate only about price elevation. I wish it increases. That's a wish-based strategy, and wishing is not a strategy. You understand what is a strategy? Constructing a machine that compensates you cash on a foreseeable schedule, irrespective of what the erratic stock market is executing that day. Disregarding cash flow is like purchasing a rental property and only caring about what the valuation website claims it's valued, not the monthly rental payment. It's financial incompetence. Your $10,000 must commence laboring for you immediately, not at some remote point in the future when you determine to liquidate. My complete investment approach is engineered around cash flow. I appreciate dividends. I appreciate interest from superior quality bonds. I appreciate royalty distributions. Why? Because that cash is tangible. It arrives my account. It's evidence that the investment is a genuine business, producing genuine profits and distributing them with me, the proprietor. That cash flow accomplishes three powerful objectives. First, it delivers a return on investment from day one, reducing your reliance on speculative price movements. Second, it can be reinvested to purchase additional shares. This is the enchantment of compounding, and it's how fortunes are constructed quietly across time. Third, and this is critical, it functions as a stabilizer during market declines. When the market panics and prices drop, that dividend or interest payment often stays stable. It provides you psychological and financial stability. You're receiving compensation to await the recovery. I want you to examine my own portfolio distribution. A substantial portion is devoted to dividend-expanding aristocrats, ETFs like the ones I'm associated with, and other cash flow mechanisms. I don't merely want return. I want return that expands across time, defeating inflation. That's the machinery. With your $10,000, you possess the capital to commence constructing this machinery immediately. The error is channeling it all into non-dividend growth stocks, or worse, cash-consuming speculations, and then remaining there for years with zero tangible return, anticipating for a dramatic surge. The directive is foundational. Require a minimum return requirement for the foundation of your portfolio. Before you purchase anything, pose, how will this asset compensate me? If the response is only when I liquidate it, it does not belong in the serious $9,000 portion of your capital. You must assign a meaningful portion of that $10,000 to assets that transmit you payments. This is absolute for intelligent capital distribution. Finally, having prevented these four catastrophic errors, people often succumb to a more subtle but equally destructive failure. Here's the situation. You've completed the investigation, you've prevented the major errors, but now you're immobilized. You're awaiting for the flawless moment, the flawless price, the flawless distribution. You're monitoring financial television, browsing financial reports, terrified of making a movement before some legendary all-clear indication. Let me inform you something I've discovered in over 4 decades of executing this. The flawless investment at the flawless time does not materialize. What materializes is a sound strategy implemented with rigor over an extended period of time. Immobilization is a choice to permit inflation and missed opportunity to diminish your $10,000 remaining in a minimal yield savings account. Money never rests, but yours is in a slumber. My viewpoint is that of an operator. I possess a framework and I position capital into that framework. I don't attempt to predict the market's emotional fluctuations. I dollar cost average. I rebalance. I remove emotion from the equation. The pursuit for flawlessness is the adversary of adequate, and in investing, adequate implemented consistently is what transforms into excellent over 20 years. On Shark Tank, if an entrepreneur awaited for the flawless product, the flawless market conditions, they'd never initiate. The identical is accurate for you. Your $10,000 is an instrument not utilized is a worthless instrument. The evidence is definitive. Time in the market is vastly more significant than timing the market. The greatest expense you sustain by awaiting for a decline that may never arrive or for some geopolitical uncertainty to settle is the forfeiture of compounded returns. The $10,000 invested in a solid cash-flowing portfolio could be valued thousands more in a few years merely from the combination of return and modest expansion. Remaining on the periphery, it's guaranteed to be valued less due to inflation. The directive here is about mentality, not finance. Establish a deployment deadline and implement. Provide yourself 1 week to complete your plan based on the principles I'm providing you. Then, on a particular date, you invest 80 to 100% of that capital according to your plan. No second guessing. Flawlessness is a fantasy for failures. Implementation is the reality for victors. Now, you comprehend the 5 errors that will demolish your $10,000. But I don't merely identify problems. I deliver solutions. It's time to discuss precisely what to execute. All right, the criticism is concluded. You understand what not to execute. Now, let's construct. This is my precise 5 foundation framework for positioning $10,000 in 2026. This isn't speculation. This is the implementation of my fundamental approach: protection, cash flow, diversification, and rigor. Regard this as your roadmap. Foundation 1, the bedrock, broad market participation, 40% $4,000. Let me state crystal clear. Your singular largest wager should be on the persistent innovation and productivity of the worldwide economy, not on your own stock-selecting brilliance. For $4,000 of your capital, you are purchasing the machinery. I execute this through minimal-cost, broad-based index ETFs. Particularly, I recommend for a division here. Position $2,500 into an S&P 500 ETF like IVV or VOO. This provides you ownership in the 500 largest, most profitable enterprises in America. This is your fundamental growth foundation. Then take the remaining $2,500 and distribute it to an international developed markets ETF like IEFA. The US won't perpetually outperform, and you require worldwide diversification. Why ETFs? They're inexpensive. They're diversified within themselves, and they eliminate solitary company risk. This $4,000 foundation is your establish it and disregard it bedrock. It expands with the market. You don't exchange it. You merely possess it. Foundation 2, the cash flow machinery. 30% $3,000. This is where your money commences laboring for you while you rest. This $3,000 is distributed to assets whose primary function is to transmit you payments. I want you to contemplate in terms of dependable expanding dividends. I would divide this into 2 components. First, $2,000 into a superior quality dividend growth ETF. Examine something like SCHD or DGRO. These aren't merely high return traps. They filter for companies with solid financial statements and a history of elevating their dividends. That's crucial. Expanding income. Second, take $1,000 and purchase a monthly dividend distributing ETF or a covered call strategy ETF for enhanced return. I'm associated with products in this area because they're engineered for income. This portion of your portfolio should target a combined return of 3 to 4%. That indicates from this $3,000 alone, you're producing $90, $120 annually in cash right from the start that you reinvest. This is the accumulation at the summit of the slope. Foundation 3, the defensive fortification, 15% $1,500. Money never rests, but markets do take pauses, sometimes very extended, frightening pauses. You must possess a defensive element. This is not for dramatic expansion. It's for capital protection and stability. In 2026, with potential interest rate volatility, I favor short to intermediate term U.S. Treasury ETFs like IEI or SHY. This $500 distribution accomplishes 2 objectives. First, it delivers stabilization. When stocks liquidate in a panic, superior quality bonds often maintain their value or even increase, smoothing out your portfolio's experience. Second, it produces respectable risk-free return. This is your panic prevention. It prevents you from making emotional, foolish choices when the market becomes volatile because you'll observe this stable portion of your portfolio maintaining steady. Never undervalue the value of resting well at night. Foundation 4, the strategic opportunity allocation. 10% $1,000. This is your active distribution, not speculative but strategic. This $1,000 is for investing in a particular theme or industry you believe is fundamentally undervalued or positioned for long-term expansion, but that isn't fully captured in your broad indexes. For 2026, I'm examining 2 areas: energy infrastructure, MLPs or pipelines with robust cash flows, and perhaps a portion of select profitable technology focused on AI infrastructure. Not the excitement names, but the companies constructing the tools and infrastructure. The crucial aspect here is rigor. This is not stock selecting on an impulse. It's an investigated, focused wager, and it's limited at 10%. If you're incorrect, it doesn't demolish you. If you're correct, it enhances your returns. Foundation 5, the reserve capital, 5%, $500. Finally, you are not investing 100% of your $10,000. You maintain $500 in cash in your brokerage account as reserve capital. This serves two critical psychological functions. First, it prevents you from feeling fully committed, which produces panic. You possess resources on the periphery. Second, and more significantly, it permits you to be an opportunist. When the market experiences one of its inevitable 5–10% declines, and it will, you don't need to liquidate anything to purchase. You utilize this reserve capital to purchase more of your foundational ETFs at a discount. This converts market volatility from a danger into an opportunity. It makes you a disciplined purchaser when others are fearful. This is the structure: 40% foundation, 30% cash flow, 15% defense, 10% opportunity, 5% reserve capital. It's balanced, it's disciplined, and it's designed to expand and compensate you for decades. So, there you possess it: the 5 errors that will demolish your $10,000 and the 5 foundation framework that will convert it into the bedrock of genuine wealth. Let me summarize this concisely because implementation is everything. 1. You must eliminate the stake everything wager and diversify immediately. 2. Stop pursuing yesterday's victors. That's how you purchase peaks. 3. You must ruthlessly distinguish speculation from serious investing. 4. Disregarding cash flow is disregarding the very machinery of compounding. And 5. Immobilization by flawlessness is a silent destroyer of opportunity. The framework I've provided you is not a speculative wager. It is an engineered framework. It positions the vast majority of your capital to labor in the proven long-term wealth-constructing mechanisms of the worldwide economy and the cash-producing power of excellent businesses. It protects you with defense, provides you a focused opportunity allocation, and most significantly, instills the rigor of reserve capital. This is how you regard money with respect. This is how you construct a force, one unit at a time. Look, wealth isn't constructed by accident. It's constructed by design, by making unemotional, systematic choices when you possess capital to position. I've demonstrated you the design. The $10,000 is merely the beginning. This identical framework scales to $100,000 to $1,000. The principles don't transform. You are now equipped with the knowledge to prevent the pitfalls and implement a professional-grade strategy. The only aspect remaining is for you to take action. If you discovered this roadmap valuable, if you appreciate this direct, straightforward approach to constructing wealth, then you need to execute 3 actions right now. First, press that approval button. It informs me you're serious about this material. Second, subscribe to this channel and activate notifications. I'm here to eliminate the worthless noise and provide you actionable strategies. And I've got significantly more to distribute that you won't want to overlook. Third, and most significant, I want to receive from you. Go down to the comments and inform me which of the 5 errors are you most guilty of, or which foundation of the framework are you going to implement first. Your participation helps me understand what you require next. This is Kevin O'Leary. Remember, money never rests. Make certain yours is laboring harder than you execute.